Tonki ba non tontek. Tonki ba non tontek. Kipuna, bona na kichu. Kipuna, bona na kichu. Mucho shakapaka. Mucho shakapaka. Dong abuk shami no nok. Mucho shakapaka. Selima wanga kunbitkin. Kipuna, bona na kichu. Kipuna, bona na kichu. Tonki ba non tontek. Tonki ba non tontek. Dong abuk shami no nok. Selima wanga kunbitkin. Tonki ba non tontek. Kipuna, bona na kichu. Kipuna, bona na kichu. Tonki ba non tontek. Tonki ba non tontek. Dong abuk shami no. Mucho shakapaka. Selima wanga kunbitkin. Kipuna, bona na kichu. Kipuna, bona na kichu. Kipuna, bona na kichu. Tonki ba non tontek. Mucho shakapaka. Tonki ba non tontek. Tonki ba non tontek. Mucho shakapaka. Selima wanga kunbitkin. Kipuna, bona na kichu. Tonki ba non tontek. Dong abuk shami no nok. Kipuna, bona na kichu. Selima wanga kunbitkin. Mucho shakapaka. Dong abuk shami no nok. Tonki ba non tontek. Dong abuk shami no nok.
Yeah, what do you want? What? You think I don't have something better to do? Yeah, what do you want? Tatooine is one big desert, with rocks sticking out. I heard that some of my people came here after the war, but I don't know what happened to them. The world of my clan, Ordo, was much like this. Dust basins and rock crags. But my world at least has some green around the equator. This place is just sand all over. There are some vicious people on this world, but the desert is the real enemy. Trips out in the desert, especially the deep desert, should be taken very carefully. You have anything else you want to ask? You want another war story, huh? You want to hear about some other world getting wasted, eh? I knew you were the type. Your stagnant republic has never seen some of the strange creatures and races we fought on the Outer Rim in those years. And you never will now. If a world isn't strong enough to defend itself, it's basically forfeit. But this story is about something a little different. We were going through the asteroid fields of the Crispin system at the very edge of the galaxy, playing with the pirates and smugglers we found there. The main belt in the Crispin system consists of mainly small rocks covered in frozen methane gas shells, and the pirates were using them for cover. Ha! I remember using a thermal generator to cause the outer layer of one of the asteroids to vaporize in a picosecond. It blew out and shredded the 3 smugglers using it for cover, but that was a mistake. The asteroid I had targeted was smaller than most, maybe a dozen meters on a side. On the outside, it looked the same as any other, just a ball covered in frozen gas. But something must have been inside it, something inactive, in the cold. The heat of my blast might have triggered something or woken something up. After I'd hit it, spots of light and heat appeared all over the thin shell, still covering it, evaporating the gases. What lay underneath looked like some sort of rocky growth. A deformed rock, pitted by scores of micrometeorite scars. I think something even older might have been inside that. It started rotating faster and faster as we watched it. After a second, it started spraying fire, thermal projectiles that melted our armor like wax. We were caught completely by surprise. Before we could counterattack, it fled at an incredible speed. We couldn't catch it, but we could follow its hyperspace wake. We followed its trail as far as we could, heading away from the galactic core. When it finally led beyond the edge of our galaxy, we abandoned our efforts. Anything that wants to commit suicide in that great void is not worth our trouble trying to catch. That's the only story I have for now. I'll tell you some more stuff later if we get the chance. Is there something else you want to know? Your choice. I'm here if you want something done right.
Hey there, what can I do for you? Oh, heck, I don't know. Hey there, what can I do for you? I always heard Tatooine was nothing but a rock covered by a bunch of worthless sand. I can't even figure out why Zerka Corp set up their mining operations here. Sorry I can't be more help, you know? Is there anything else I can do for you? I've been thinking about Lena and what she said about Griff. You know, how he was always blaming other people for his problems? There might be something to what she said. No, of course not. Not really. But what if it was his idea to leave me behind? I'm not saying Griff would just abandon me, but maybe he did want to leave me behind. Just temporarily, you know? He might have done that if he planned on coming back later, but things don't usually work out for Griff the way he planned, you know? And that's when he'd get in trouble. He was always borrowing money he could never pay back. He might have been trying to skip out on his debts when he left Harris. He would have to leave his little sister behind so it would look like he was coming back. Yeah, well, no, not exactly. Look, all I'm trying to say is that the more I think back, the more I realize I might be idolizing my brother a bit, not seeing all his faults. I still want to find him. I need to see him again. It's just that I'm not sure how I'll react when I do. Maybe. We'll see. I don't want to judge him yet. Maybe Lena was lying. Or maybe she wasn't. All I know is I'd like to speak to Griff myself. If we have time, I'd like to go talk to the Zerka Corp rep on Tatooine and see what he has to say about where my brother is now.
Welcome to Anchorhead, potential customer. Zerka Corporation stands ready to serve, after some formalities, of course. First, your ship is not on our list of planned arrivals for today. There is a docking fee of 100 credits because of this. The immediate benefit is access to these very docking facilities. This is the only port in Anchorhead. Once you've paid, we will offer trade services as well. We're not unreasonable, we just want to cover expenses. I'm sorry. While Zerka Corporation would like to encourage interest in Tatooine, we must first deal with the docking fees. Our operations here are very expensive. We must recoup basic costs somehow. I assure you that the fee is non-negotiable. We have a very thin margin of profit on this world. You know, I don't think you need to pay the fee. We'll let it go this time.
Well, that was easy. I sure wish I had special mind-affecting force powers.
This will cover any future landings as well. It's like a registration, so we can serve you better when you return. Now, as a customs officer, I can provide information on services. Is this visit business or pleasure? There isn't much to tell. It's a very old planet, well past its prime. Zerka Corporation is the only company with any interest in it. It's not a very pretty world, but there is opportunity here if you know where to look. I can't really get into that. It hasn't been a very smooth operation. I shouldn't get into it. I can tell you more, I guess. It's not a big secret or anything. Just not good for business. You see, Zerka Corporation staked their claim to this planet based on some very promising geological surveys. Unfortunately, that information was incorrect, and possibly even an attempt at sabotage by a rival company. Not totally barren. There were a few good years of mining, and limited operations are still in place. But the ore is flawed. It has peculiar properties. They've had to look at other forms of business. Zerka Corporation has really tried to hide this, but it just seems that Tatooine metal is unfit for effective manufacturing. I would imagine that this outpost will eventually be abandoned. Nobody is making any money here. Of course, this rock may have been settled a few times, so look for some other company to get stuck with it. Very little. There are hints that it might once have been a lush world, but I can't picture it as anything but a desert. Native sentient species have no records going back that far. That was hundreds of years ago, maybe thousands. Of course, the native species are not very willing to tell anyone anything. They're barely more than animals. The Sand People. They're vicious and attack outsiders on sight. More animal than anything, really. Maybe they know the history of Tatooine. Maybe they don't. Impossible to tell. They won't cooperate. Not personally, but they've given Zerka Corporation a rough time. It's hard enough mining this rock without suffering random attacks. I think the company has even put a bounty on them, but I'm sure not going to.